Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, former President Donald Trump has been ordered to pay more than $350 million in his civil fraud trial. Plus, at least 2 people are dead after a shooting at a university in Colorado.
Plus, we are tracking a rain to snow changeover as we speak. Those details coming up as Mountain News at 5:30 starts now.
Dedicated to Southern and Eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. We are continuing to track some wintry weather through the evening, going from rain to snow. But just how much snow can we expect to stick? First Alert meteorologist Cameron Aaron is here with the latest. Cameron.
Yeah, Steve, we are already watching out for a few flakes close to I-64 over those far northern counties. Let's take a live look at First Alert Pinpoint Doppler on this First Alert weather day. And as you can see, for most of us, all rain as temperatures are above freezing. But notice close to I-64 for Rowan County, some snow is starting to filter in. And check out this live image from I-64. It does not take long with that heavier snow band for some of the snow to start accumulating down to 34 degrees over in Rowan County. And it's just amazing. We had 60s on Thursday and 30s on this Friday evening. So that cooler air is knocking on the door, especially in those far northern counties. But again, for most of us, all rain for the Mountain Parkway from Estill County pushing into Wolfe County, also Menifee County, into portions of Morgan and Magoffin counties at this hour as well. Those current temperatures, most of us are well above freezing, up to 48 for Jackson, down to 34 in Irvin, 36 in Lexington, 39 over in Irvin at this hour. So we are tracking that cooler air beginning to push into those northern counties, and that will continue falling off to the south as we go through this evening and tonight. So we are tracking that rain to snow changeover. This is a quick moving system though, so we are tracking some drier air as we go, especially after midnight as that cooler air begins to work in. Low temperatures are well below freezing in the middle to upper 20s, and we stay cold tomorrow. Those details on the way in just a few minutes. Steve?
All right, Cameron, thanks. A major legal and financial setback for former President Donald Trump today after the judge in his civil fraud case announced massive penalties. CBS's Christian Benavidez reports from the New York courthouse.
A New York judge has ordered former President Donald Trump and his co-defendants to pay more than $350 million. The ruling also bars Trump from running any company in New York for 3 years. Judge Arthur Engoron released a decision 4 months after finding Trump had committed fraud by inflating his assets and net worth, all to get better terms on loans and insurance. New York Attorney General Letitia James had argued the former president should be banned from doing business in New York.
We have produced evidence about the scope, the scale, the depth, the breadth of the illegality, the fraud that impersonally enriched Donald Trump and his family.
Throughout the trial, the former president denied wrongdoing, clashed with the judge, and slammed the case as a witch hunt. He said the prosecution was part of a political crusade.
It's all a conspiracy to try and get Biden, who can't put 2 sentences together, trying to get him into office.
The judge also banned sons Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump from running a corporation in New York for 2 years, saying they intentionally falsified business records. The former president and his co-defendants are expected to appeal. Christian Benavidez, CBS News, New York.
The New York law clerk Donald Trump lashed out at during his civil fraud trial is running for her own seat in Manhattan Civil Court in November. Clerk Allison Greenfield is currently running unopposed for the countywide civil court position. Trump's lawyers complained about Greenfield's presence on the bench next to the judge at trial. They accused her of co-judging, as she often passed notes to Judge Arthur Engoron and whispered in his ear before he ruled. 3 civil lawsuits that seek to hold former President Trump responsible for the January 6th siege on the U.S. Capitol can go forward. The lawsuits from U.S. Capitol police officers and Democratic lawmakers were given the green light by a federal appeals court in December. Lawyers for Trump did not meet Thursday's deadline to ask the U.S. Supreme Court to determine if their client is protected by presidential immunity. Fulton County, Georgia District Attorney Fani Willis is not taking the stand today. Today was the second day of an evidentiary hearing on whether she should be dismissed from the Georgia election interference case over a conflict of interest. Fulton County prosecutors chose not to cross-examine Willis, saying they felt they got enough from her testimony yesterday. Authorities say at least 2 people are dead following a shooting in Colorado. That shooting resulted in the University of Colorado's Colorado Springs campus to go on lockdown this morning.
I was shocked, honestly. I had woke up to an email from one of my teachers saying that there was a lockdown and to just be safe, lock the doors. And then I came out here to all these police cars and the news people, and I was pretty shocked.
Local police say they are now investigating the case as a homicide. They believe it is an isolated incident. Campus was closed for the rest of the day. Prosecutors in Kansas City are moving ahead with charges in connection with the mass shooting at the Chiefs Super Bowl parade. CBS's Charlie DeMar has the latest from Kansas City.
2 juveniles are now facing gun-related and resisting arrest charges following the fatal shooting at the Chiefs parade Wednesday in Kansas City. A statement from Jackson County Family Court says additional charges are anticipated as the investigation moves forward. The names of the suspects have not been released. More than 20 people were hurt in the shooting, and local radio personality Lisa Lopez Galvan was killed.
Lisa was the life of the party.
We spoke yesterday with her brother and sister.
There's an initial shock, and it feels like a bad dream.
She was just really happy to be there. We did not expect the day to end like this.
The mother's adult son was also shot, but is expected to survive.
They took away his mother, his best friend. She did everything for them.
Half of the victims are under 16, the youngest just 8 years old. But on Friday, officials at Children's Mercy Hospital said of the 11 patients they received, only 1 remains in the hospital.
And as city leaders and families discuss and determine whether these outdoor large gatherings are safe to attend, the mayor here in Kansas City vowing to move forward and host next month's St. Patrick's Day parade. Charlie DeMar, CBS News, Kansas City, Missouri.
Patrick and Brittany Mahomes visited 2 sisters who were injured during Wednesday's shooting. According to a statement from the girls' family, the 8- and 10-year-olds were both shot in the legs. They've gone through surgery and will be wearing casts for the next few months. In the statement, the family thanked the Mahomes and the staff at Children's Mercy Hospital. One of Russian President Vladimir Putin's staunchest critics has died in prison. The Russian prison service reports that Alexi Navalny, who was serving a 19-year sentence after being convicted of extremism, felt unwell after a walk and quickly lost consciousness. Navalny had been moved to one of the strictest penal colonies in Siberia in late December 2023. This is what a Russian journalist had to say about Navalny's sense of humor.
It is one thing that made the regime and Putin to hate him so much and to fear him so much, because with his humor, he was still influential. He was listened by the younger generations of Russians and followed his advices. His political advices were followed by younger generations of Russians. But even in prison, he could influence the so-called elections.
Navalny was just 47 years old. A bipartisan group of lawmakers have introduced a foreign aid and narrow border package in the House of Representatives. The package would provide more than $66 billion in military assistance to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan, and crack down on illegal border crossings. It would restore the so-called Remain in Mexico policy, which requires asylum seekers to return to Mexico until their case is ready for court in the U.S. Senator Joe Manchin is not entering the presidential race. The retiring Democrat has been on a listening tour as he weighed whether to launch a third-party bid. Instead of jumping into the race, Manchin is planning to focus on a new group, Americans Together, which promotes moderate politics. Manchin has been critical of President Biden for being too liberal, but he has also said he refuses to be part of any effort that could help Donald Trump get reelected. The United Auto Workers say roughly 9,000 union workers at Ford's Kentucky truck plant will strike in 1 week if contract issues are not resolved. The union says Ford's failed to reach a local agreement with UAW Local 862 more than 5 months after the contract deadline. They've asked the union's national president to authorize a strike beginning at 12:01 a.m. on Friday, February 23rd. The UAW says negotiations are focused on health and safety at the truck plant. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, we find out if a device designed to instantly curl hot dogs does what it's supposed to do.
Plus, rain is starting to change over to some snow. Your first alert forecast coming up after this break.